What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Martial Arts Monday review. And this week we're taking a look at 1979's Five Superfighters, yet another film from the Shawscope Volume 2 box set. This film was directed by Lomar, and this is a highly entertaining, well-paced film. Essentially a basic kind of a kung fu story told in a very straightforward manner. Very well-paced. Plot-wise, it seems to be perhaps influenced by some of the, what they call the Three Dragons films coming out of Golden Harvest, which were sort of like revenge comedies, which starred Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yuen Biao. And while this film doesn't quite have that star power, that level of star power, or the star power in some of the other films in these Shawscope box sets, it is nevertheless very entertaining, and everybody involved really acquits themselves well, including director Lomar. Some really great sets in here. There's a great house sort of under a waterfall, and just, you know, some of the great indoor sets that we're accustomed to from Shaw Brothers. And, you know, a lot of the actors in this did sort of make their bones as extras and stunt people in previous films. Let's just talk about one of them, Austin Y. First of all, he's Caraway's brother, and sadly, it looks like he was born in 57, I think, but passed away in 2012, so that's far too young. But he was in 36 Chamber of Shaolin in a supporting role, and then he would go on to appear in some Donnie Yen films like Flashpoint and Killzone, I think it's called. So, you know, a lot of these actors in this film did go on to have pretty good careers. They're just not quite as recognizable as the casts in some other films. Having said that, I was intrigued by it. I mean, everyone in here really does a good job. Now, where did the Five Superfighters come from? It's kind of interesting because it essentially describes both the antagonists and the protagonists in the film. You have this individual here wearing a black hat and a cloak who basically goes around and picks fights, for lack of a better word. He walks into a kung fu school in the beginning, and he has a banner which says that he's trying to expose fake kung fu or something like that. So, of course, the students and the teacher there take umbrage to that, and they have a fight, and he basically kicks everybody's ass. And then he goes out onto the street, and he runs into a vendor and his three disciples, and he gets into a conflict with them. And this is the master there. He gets into a conflict with them and essentially kicks their ass. And they're pretty distraught about it. You know, the three students really feel bad for their master, who's kind of banged up pretty bad. So what they decide to do is to disappear for 6 months, go in 3 different directions, seek out some different teachings and trainings from some different masters, perhaps some different techniques. And so by the end of it, you're going to see some drunken fighting and some monkey style kung fu. It's just a lot of fun. And then come back in 6 months, reunite with their master, and then challenge this guy once more. And that's essentially what happens. Very entertaining scenes. Each of the 3 masters that they seek out are very unconventional. Like, they don't like go knocking on the doors of any kung fu schools. They sort of just stumble into these situations. So the one guy is watching a woman tofu vendor get sort of harassed by 3 goons, and he's, you know, you're thinking, is he going to step in? Well, he ends up just you know, she ends up like kicking their ass. And there's a funny little thing here, as they explain in the trivia section, where she takes her foot and pushes the one guy's head into the tofu. And the expression to eat one's tofu means to sexually harass them. So she kind of like turns that around on the would-be harasser. So this guy sort of approaches this woman, the saleswoman, the tofu saleswoman, and they begin a master-pupil relationship. One of the other guys tries to steal some fish from a fisherman who starts swinging a pole around and you know, teaches him a lesson. So he ends up training with him. And then the other guy ends up going to a gambling hall, and there's lots of drinking involved. And there's like a drunken old beggar in there who is anything but a drunken old beggar. He's actually quite skilled, and he begins to teach this young man sort of drunken boxing. And that's essentially the plot. They reunite with their master, who's kind of been feeling like, hey, you know, my pupils abandoned me, so it takes him a moment to figure out what's going on here. He's been sort of down on his luck. And the 4 of them fight the villain and have a pretty good ending fight, climactic battle with all kinds of acrobatics different styles. Like I said, lots of unconventional sort of drunken boxing, monkey style kung fu. Everybody in this was really good. You know, the three masters were all very good. Let me sort of mention them. You've got the tofu saleswoman, played by Wang Mei Mei. The fisherman is played by Jamie Luck Kim Ming. And the crippled hermit, you know, the drunken guy, is played by Lam Fai Wong. They're all fantastic in this, a lot of fun. And everybody in this film really acquits themselves pretty well. This is a fun one. Definitely like kind of a hidden gem in these Shawscope volumes and just in the world of Kung Fu films overall. So if you get a chance to check this one out, go ahead and watch it. It's really good, very entertaining. This is the type of film that I could recommend to somebody who just wants to watch, you know, like a basic, decent Kung Fu film that's not too bloody. So this is not like a Chang Cheh film. You know, Lo Mar seems to have taken more inspiration from someone like Lau Kar Leung than Chang Cheh. Not a lot of blood in this one, relatively, I'm not going to say antiseptic or anything like that, because they do beat each other up pretty badly a few times, but it's not a bloody mess like a Chang Cheh film. It's maybe a little more accessible for the general audience out there. Highly recommended. Have you guys even heard of Five Superfighters? I know a lot of the titles are similar. It's also called apparently Five Tigers of Tang Shan, not to be confused with 10 Tigers of Kwang Tung. You know, it does get confusing, I know. But if you heard of this, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And I have some more Martial Arts Mondays reviews coming up soon, of course. So come back again soon. Thanks.